Alex could feel the weight of the sanctuary around him. Every wall, every projection, every shimmering light carried a history he could barely comprehend. Elira walked beside him, her presence both commanding and strangely comforting. The princess's silver eyes flickered with a mix of caution and curiosity as she observed him. For someone who had survived wars and betrayals, she rarely let anyone close, but Alex was different. Somehow she knew she could trust him. He followed her deeper into the sanctuary, noticing the meticulous care she had taken to maintain it. The crystal walls reflected the light from above, creating a soft glow that illuminated strange symbols and maps. Some of the maps showed planets he had never visited, stars that didn't appear in human records, and trade routes between civilizations far beyond his understanding. "Your people, they are far more advanced than humans," Alex said, his voice low. He did not want to sound disrespectful, but he was genuinely amazed. "These projections, the technology, it's incredible." Elira nodded slightly. "We have existed longer than humans. Our knowledge and technology have grown over centuries. But power and wisdom are not the same. Even with all we have, courage is rare." Alex looked at her, surprised. "Courage? You mean mine?" She smiled faintly, a rare expression that softened her usually stern features. "Yes. I have seen many warriors, many humans who claim to be brave, but few have the heart to act when it truly matters. You saved me. You risked everything without hesitation. That is courage in its purest form." Alex shrugged, feeling uncomfortable with praise. "I was just doing what felt right. I didn't think of it as courage." "Then that makes it even more remarkable," she said. Her gaze softened for a brief moment before sharpening again. "We do not have time for small talk. There are matters that require your understanding and perhaps your assistance." Alex's curiosity piqued. "Assistance? With what?" Elira led him to a large chamber at the heart of the sanctuary. The ceiling stretched high above them, and the walls pulsed faintly with energy. In the center, a holographic projection displayed her kingdom in intricate detail. Floating cities, energy shields, and military outposts. He noticed areas marked in red indicating unrest or danger. "This is my kingdom," she said. "It is under threat. Not from outside enemies this time, but from within. A faction of my people seeks to remove me from power. They see me as too weak, too trusting of outsiders. They believe humans cannot be allies, that we will betray them." Alex studied the projection. "And you want me to help?" "Yes," she said simply. "You are human, but unlike the others. You understand strategy, survival, and courage. You can think in ways my people might not expect." "I trust you," Alex paused. He had never been involved in politics or court intrigue. His skills were practical: survival, combat, and problem-solving under pressure. Yet the sincerity in her voice made him consider it seriously. He could refuse, but he knew he could not turn away from someone who had trusted him so completely. "I will help," he said finally, "but I need to understand the full situation first." Elira nodded approvingly. She gestured to the holographic projection, zooming in on one of the red-marked areas. "This faction is growing stronger. They have influence over some of the military leaders and merchants. If we do not act carefully, they will attempt a coup. I cannot confront them directly. It would risk lives and create chaos. That is why I need someone outside the system, someone unexpected. That is you." Alex took a deep breath. The weight of the task was immense, but he did not flinch. "Where do we start?" Elira's eyes gleamed with determination. "First, you must understand our people, their strengths, their weaknesses, and the ways they think. You cannot fight them with force alone. You must use strategy, observation, and occasionally, deception." Alex nodded, absorbing every word. He had faced deadly creatures in hostile environments, but political intrigue on an alien planet was new territory. Still, he felt ready. He had survived countless dangers before, and he could do it again. They spent hours going over details. Elira explained the kingdom's hierarchy, its rules, and the alliances and rivalries among her people. She showed him the locations of loyalists who supported her, as well as those who had been swayed by the faction. Alex took notes, memorized the layouts, and asked questions to clarify points he did not understand. As they worked, the princess revealed more about her past. She spoke of battles fought, allies lost, and the times when she had almost been captured. Her voice carried memories of fear and loss, but also of resilience. Alex listened, absorbing every story. He realized that beneath her regal exterior she carried scars that few could see. She had survived because she was clever, resourceful, and fearless. but also because of trust in rare individuals like him. "You are stronger than you appear," Alex said at one point, "not just physically but in spirit. You've endured more than most could bear." Elira looked at him, her silver eyes reflecting a mixture of surprise and respect. "You speak as one who has seen danger and survived it himself. That is rare among humans. Most rely on others or technology. You rely on courage, instinct, and thought. That is why I remember you." Alex felt a strange connection in that moment, a bond that went beyond time and distance. He realized that their fates were intertwined in ways neither fully understood. Suddenly, an alarm echoed through the sanctuary. Red lights flashed along the walls, and holographic symbols indicated movement outside. Alex's instincts kicked in immediately. "What is happening?" he asked, already reaching for his equipment. Elira's expression hardened. "They know we are here. The faction has sent agents to test our defenses. We must move quickly." Without hesitation, Alex followed her to a hidden exit. The sanctuary had multiple escape routes, and she led him through narrow corridors and hidden passageways until they emerged onto a cliff overlooking the glowing city. From this vantage point, they could see patrolling ships and sentries moving below. "They are cautious," Elira said, her voice low. "They do not yet know how capable you are." "That may be our advantage." Alex studied the city. It was unlike anything he had imagined. Towers of light and energy, bridges that floated without visible support, and citizens moving with grace and precision. The city was beautiful, but he could feel the tension beneath its surface. Every movement, every patrol, carried the weight of political uncertainty. "We need to gather intelligence," Elira continued. "We must learn who within the city supports them, and who supports me. You will observe, question, and report. Use whatever methods you deem necessary, but avoid open confrontation until we know the full scope of their plan." Alex nodded. He had done reconnaissance missions before, but this was on a scale unlike anything on Earth. Still, he felt ready. He had survived harsh environments, faced deadly creatures, and outsmarted enemies countless times. Strategy and patience would be his allies here. They spent the next few days moving carefully through the city. Alex disguised himself among the citizens, observing conversations, patterns, and behaviors. Elira provided guidance but allowed him freedom to act as he saw fit. Together, they uncovered hints of meetings, secret communications, and subtle threats. Each piece of information brought them closer to understanding the faction's intentions. During one quiet moment, Elira led Alex to a terrace overlooking the city. The sunset painted the sky in hues of pink and gold, reflecting off the crystalline buildings. "You are remarkable," she said softly. "Not just for your courage, but for your mind." "I have never seen a human with such insight." Alex smiled faintly. "I am learning from the best teacher I have ever known." Elira's eyes softened, and for a moment the tension of their mission faded. She looked at him as if seeing not only the human who had saved her in the past, but also the one who could save her in the present. There was trust, respect, and an unspoken bond forming between them, an alliance built on courage, intelligence, and shared purpose. As night fell, the city glowed like a sea of stars. Alex realized that this world, with all its beauty and danger, had become more than just a mission. It was a place where he could make a difference, protect someone who had trusted him, and witness the extraordinary resilience of an alien civilization. The princess stood beside him, her presence calm yet commanding. "Tomorrow we move closer to understanding the full threat," she said. "And I hope you are ready for what may come. The choices you make now could change everything." Alex looked out over the city, feeling a mixture of anticipation and determination. He had faced impossible odds before, and he would do so again. For Elira, for her people, and for the bond that had brought them together across time and space, he would stand firm. The adventure was only beginning. But Alex knew that with courage, intelligence, and trust, even the most dangerous challenges could be overcome. And somewhere deep inside, he felt a strange certainty. This human who had once saved a princess was about to change her world once more. The following morning, Alex awoke to a pale light spilling through the crystal windows of the sanctuary. The city below shimmered as though alive, its energy fields casting a soft glow across the streets. He could hear the hum of activity, but the tension in the air was unmistakable. This mission was no longer a simple reconnaissance. It was the beginning of a dangerous engagement with forces that sought to unseat Aelira. Aelira entered the chamber where Alex was preparing his gear. Her expression was calm but determined, the way it always was before facing a challenge. "We have identified several key leaders in the faction," she said. "They meet tonight in the lower city. It will be risky to observe them. You must be careful." Alex nodded. He had faced hostile environments, alien predators, and deadly storms before. But political intrigue in a foreign world required a different kind of courage. He was not just confronting physical threats. He had to navigate deception, strategy, and the unpredictability of intelligent adversaries. "Will you be accompanying me?" he asked. Aelira shook her head. "No, my presence would be noticed. You must go alone. But I will provide guidance and backup if necessary." Alex tightened the straps on his survival pack and adjusted the discreet equipment hidden under his clothing. Though this was not a battle in the traditional sense, he knew that any misstep could cost him dearly. He had learned that caution, observation, and intuition were as deadly as any weapon. As night fell, the city transformed. Energy fields glowed brighter, casting long shadows across the crystalline streets. Alex moved silently, blending with the inhabitants while keeping his eyes on the areas marked as dangerous. He followed a narrow alley, aware that the faction's spies could be anywhere. Every sound, every movement carried meaning. He had to remain alert. He reached the lower city where the faction's leaders were said to convene. The area was heavily guarded, but Alex had studied the patrol patterns and found a gap in the coverage. Using his agility and knowledge of stealth, he slipped past the guards and approached the meeting hall. Inside, he observed through a hidden vantage point. The leaders spoke in low tones, discussing strategies to undermine Aelira's rule. Their voices were tense and their words betrayed their fear of failure. Alex recorded everything mentally, noting names, positions, and alliances. One of the leaders raised a concern about a human being involved in the princess's affairs. "What if it is the one who saved her years ago?" the man asked. "He could be dangerous." Alex froze briefly. That phrase was not just a warning. It was recognition of him. He realized that the faction had knowledge of his existence, and that they considered him a serious threat. He needed to act carefully. He retreated quietly, returning to a safe location to report his observations to Aelira via the sanctuary's communication system. She listened intently, her expression unreadable. "You have done well," she said. "This information will allow us to plan our next move. But the danger is increasing. We must be ready for confrontation." The following days were a blur of preparation. Alex studied the faction's movements, mapped out the city, and learned the habits of key individuals. Aelira provided resources, intelligence, and guidance, but she allowed him autonomy. This trust reinforced his determination to succeed. He felt the weight of responsibility, but also a sense of purpose he had not felt before. One afternoon, Aelira led him to a secluded training area within the sanctuary. Here she demonstrated combat techniques unique to her people. The movements were fluid, precise, and powerful. Alex learned quickly, adapting his human training to complement her style. He realized that combining human ingenuity with alien skill created unexpected advantages. "You are learning fast," she said after a particularly difficult maneuver. "Few can adapt so quickly. Your mind is as sharp as your courage." Alex smiled faintly. "I've had good teachers before," he said, acknowledging her guidance. During this time, the bond between them deepened. They shared stories of past battles, of challenges overcome, and of the lives they had saved. Alex listened as Aelira recounted her childhood, her responsibilities, and the moments when fear threatened to overwhelm her. He shared tales of Earth, of deserts, forests, and oceans he had explored, and of times when survival seemed impossible. Through these conversations, Aelira realized that humans, though physically weaker than her people, possessed resilience, creativity, and determination that were unmatched. She had trusted Alex before, and now she understood why that trust was justified. Then one evening, the faction made its move. Reports came in that key leaders were planning an ambush near the city's energy hub. Alex and Aelira quickly formulated a plan. He would intercept the leaders before they could organize the attack, while she would coordinate loyalists to secure strategic points in the city. Alex moved through the streets with stealth and precision. The city, though beautiful, had dangerous terrain. Energy conduits hummed with power, and crystalline bridges required careful navigation. Using his observation skills, he anticipated patrols and avoided detection. When he reached the ambush site, he saw the faction leaders gathering, unaware of his presence. He took a deep breath, recalling every lesson he had learned about strategy and human ingenuity. He needed to neutralize the threat without alerting the entire faction. Using a combination of quick maneuvers, distractions, and improvised devices, Alex disrupted their meeting. Leaders fled in confusion, some captured by loyalist patrols who had been coordinated by Elira. The city's defenses responded swiftly, cutting off escape routes and securing vulnerable areas. Elira appeared at his side shortly after the confrontation. Her expression was a mixture of relief and pride. "You were remarkable," she said. "You have turned the tide. The faction will think twice before challenging us again." Alex felt a sense of accomplishment but remained cautious. The threat was not fully eliminated. Other elements of the faction could strike at any time. "We've made progress," he said. "But we need to stay vigilant." The city settled into an uneasy calm. Citizens resumed their activities unaware of the danger that had just been averted. Alex and Elira returned to the sanctuary, where she allowed him a moment of rest. As he rested, Alex reflected on the events of the past days. He had entered this world as a stranger, yet now he felt a deep connection, not only to Elira but to the people who depended on her. He realized that courage was not just about fighting, it was about understanding, planning, and taking responsibility for the lives of others. Elira watched him thoughtfully. She had seen bravery before, but Alex's courage was different. It was quiet, unassuming, yet unwavering. She understood fully why she had remembered him so vividly after all these years. Humans were unpredictable, clever, and bold, and in Alex she saw the embodiment of these qualities. The bond between them grew stronger. Trust had been established not just through words but through action. Alex had risked his life to protect her, and she had provided guidance and insight to allow him to succeed. Together they formed a partnership that combined human resourcefulness with alien skill, a combination that could overcome even the greatest threats. As the night deepened, the sanctuary glowed softly, a beacon of safety and strategy. Alex and Elira stood side by side looking out over the city. The stars above seemed to mirror the lights below, and in that moment both understood that the challenges ahead would be formidable. Yet with courage, intelligence, and trust, they were ready to face whatever came next. The human who had once saved a princess now stood as her ally, protector, and strategist. And the alien princess who had once been a stranger had become a guide, mentor, and friend. Together they had begun to change the course of events in a world that had been teetering on the edge of chaos. The adventure was far from over. New threats, new challenges, and new discoveries awaited. But Alex felt ready, and Elira knew that with him by her side, she had the best chance to protect her kingdom, her people, and the fragile peace that had been restored, for now. And somewhere in the quiet moments between action and planning, both understood something profound. The human who had once saved her life had returned, and now together, they could face dangers that neither could have survived alone. The morning light reflected off the crystalline towers of the city, casting long, fractured shadows across the streets. Alex stood on a balcony in the sanctuary, gazing at the sprawling metropolis below. Every corner, every alley, and every bridge could hide a threat, and he knew the faction would not remain idle for long. Their failure yesterday had angered them, and now they would plan with more caution, more cunning, and more desperation. Elira approached, her silver eyes focused yet calm. "They will strike again," she said. "And this time they will not underestimate us. You must be ready." Alex adjusted the straps on his equipment, feeling a mixture of anticipation and resolve. He had faced danger before, but the stakes had never been this high. The lives of an entire kingdom, and the trust of someone he had come to respect deeply, rested on his decisions and actions. "I'm ready," he said. "Tell me what we need to do." Elira led him to a holographic table in the center of the sanctuary. It displayed the city in glowing detail. Red markers pulsed where faction leaders had been sighted, and movement patterns showed potential attack routes. "They plan to strike tonight, targeting key control points and energy conduits," she explained. "If they succeed, they could disable the city's defenses and take control." Alex studied the projection carefully. "We need to anticipate their moves, block their paths, and neutralize them before they can gain momentum." If we split our focus, we could be vulnerable. Exactly, Alira said. That is why you will lead a strike team to intercept them. Your human perspective and tactics are unpredictable, which gives us an advantage. I will coordinate the loyalists and secure the city's key positions. Together we can crush their plan before it begins. The hours passed quickly as they prepared. Alex familiarized himself with the layouts of the attack zones, memorized patrol patterns, and equipped himself with tools and devices provided by Alira's people. Every weapon, every gadget was unfamiliar, but his experience adapting to new environments and situations allowed him to understand their use almost instantly. As night fell, the city's glow transformed the landscape into a maze of shimmering pathways and floating bridges. Alex moved with silent precision, navigating the corridors and rooftops with a mixture of stealth and speed. The air carried tension. He could sense the faction preparing their assault just beyond his perception. He reached a critical control point, a hub where energy conduits intersected and power flowed to key areas of the city. Hidden in the shadows, he observed the approaching faction forces. There were more than he expected, trained soldiers with advanced weaponry and alien tactics. But Alex had something they did not: unpredictability. Using his human ingenuity, he devised a series of diversions. Small devices emitted sound and light in precise sequences, creating confusion among the attackers. He moved swiftly, disabling traps, cutting off escape routes, and guiding them toward ambush points prepared by loyalist patrols. The combination of human creativity and Alira's guidance created a strategy the faction could not anticipate. Alira coordinated from her vantage points, her commands precise and efficient. Loyalists moved to block key paths, cutting off the faction's progress. The city became a battlefield of intelligence and strategy rather than brute force. Alex led his small strike team with confidence, using clever tactics to outmaneuver the attackers, turning their strength against them. At one point, a squad of elite soldiers attempted to flank him. Alex reacted instinctively, using the environment to his advantage. Crystalline structures were manipulated to create barriers. Reflections were used to mislead the enemy, and traps were activated at critical moments. Every move was calculated, every action effective. The faction leader, realizing their plan was collapsing, attempted a desperate strike against Alex's position. The human anticipated it, drawing on every ounce of skill, courage, and tactical experience he had accumulated over years of survival missions. Using a combination of speed, precision, and unconventional thinking, he intercepted the attack and neutralized the threat without unnecessary risk. Alira watched the battle unfold from above, her heart pounding with admiration and relief. She had seen many warriors, many humans, and even her own elite soldiers in action. But Alex's courage and adaptability were extraordinary. He was not just fighting. He was thinking, leading, and protecting with a calm, unshakable resolve. By the time the faction forces realized they were trapped, their morale had crumbled. Loyalists secured critical points in the city, and energy conduits were protected. The attackers attempted to retreat, but Alex anticipated every route, ensuring that few could escape. The city's lights reflected off the crystalline structures, casting an almost ethereal glow over the defeated faction. When the battle ended, the streets fell silent except for the hum of the city's energy fields. Alex took a moment to catch his breath, his body tired but his mind alert. The risk had been immense, but the victory was clear. He had faced overwhelming odds and prevailed, using intelligence, strategy, and courage rather than brute strength alone. Alira approached him, her expression a mixture of relief, pride, and something deeper, admiration. "You were remarkable," she said. "I have never seen anyone fight with such precision and clarity. You have not only saved me but also protected the city and countless lives." Alex shook his head, brushing off the praise. "I just did what needed to be done. You guided me and your people supported me. We did this together." She smiled faintly, but her eyes conveyed more than words could express. "Your humility is as rare as your courage. Humans are unpredictable, clever, and bold. You embody the best of your species. I remembered you for a reason, and now I understand why. You are extraordinary." The human felt a warmth at her words, a mixture of pride and something more profound. He had not sought recognition, but Alira's acknowledgement carried weight. It was a testament not just to his actions, but to the bond formed between them. A bond of trust, respect, and shared purpose. As the night deepened, Alex and Elira walked through the city. The streets were quiet now, citizens moving cautiously as they recovered from the chaos. Crystalline towers reflected the moonlight, and the energy fields glowed softly, illuminating pathways that had moments ago been battlegrounds. Elira spoke softly, almost to herself. "I never thought a human could make such a difference. Yet here you are standing beside me, changing the fate of my people." Alex looked at her. "You taught me more than I can say," he replied. "You trusted me, guided me, and allowed me to do what I do best. Courage is nothing without opportunity, and you gave me that chance." For a long moment they stood in silence, absorbing the aftermath of the night's events. The city was safe, the faction defeated, and the alliance between human and alien had proven unbreakable. The danger had been real, the stakes high, but they had succeeded through intelligence, courage, and trust. Elira placed a hand on his shoulder, a rare gesture of connection. "You have saved me twice now," she said. "First when I was a child and now as a princess. Humans, you are extraordinary. I will not forget this." Alex felt a strange sense of fulfillment. He had entered this world as an explorer, uncertain of what he would find. Now he had become a protector, a strategist, and a trusted ally. The experience had tested him in ways he could never have imagined, but he had emerged stronger, wiser, and more connected to the alien world than ever. As dawn approached, they returned to the sanctuary. The crystalline walls reflected the first light of day, and the city below began to stir with cautious normalcy. Alex felt exhaustion in his body, but his mind remained sharp. There was still work to be done, recovering from the attack, ensuring the stability of the city, and preparing for any future threats. Elira watched him with a mixture of admiration and contemplation. She had seen countless warriors, but Alex's combination of courage, intelligence, and adaptability was rare even among her own people. She realized fully why she had remembered him after all these years. He was not just a human who had saved her life. He was a human who could inspire, protect, and lead in ways that transcended species. The bond between them had grown stronger through battle, strategy, and mutual respect. They understood each other not just through words but through action, shared risk and trust. And as the sun rose over the crystalline towers, both knew that the challenges ahead would require even greater courage and ingenuity. But for now, they allowed themselves a moment of peace. Alex looked out over the city, feeling the weight of responsibility but also the satisfaction of a mission accomplished. Elira stood beside him, her presence steady and reassuring. Together they had faced overwhelming danger and emerged victorious. The night had tested their limits, but it had also revealed something profound. Courage, intelligence, and trust could overcome even the most formidable threats. And the human who had once saved a princess now stood as her equal in strategy, bravery, and vision for the future. The city slept, unaware of the heroes who had protected it. And in the sanctuary, a human and an alien princess shared a quiet understanding. A bond forged in survival, trust, and the courage to face the impossible together. The city stirred with cautious normalcy as the sun rose over the crystalline towers. Citizens went about their routines, unaware of how close they had come to disaster the night before. Alex walked alongside Elira through the sanctuary's corridors, their footsteps echoing softly against the smooth walls. Though the battle had been won, the tension of the past days still lingered in the air. Elira paused at a balcony overlooking the city, her silver eyes scanning the streets below. "The faction is defeated for now," she said. "But remnants remain. They will not give up easily. We must remain vigilant." Alex nodded, his mind already running through possible scenarios. "I understand. We can't let our guard down, but we've already shifted the balance. They underestimated us, and now they know the cost of failure." Her gaze softened as she looked at him. "You have done more than I could have imagined. Your courage, intelligence, and instincts. You have changed the course of my kingdom." Alex felt a warmth at her words, not from pride, but from the recognition of shared effort and trust. "We did this together," he said. "I may have acted, but you guided me, and your people supported every move. This was a team effort." Elira smiled faintly, but the depth in her eyes spoke of something more profound. "You have reminded me that strength is not just in power, but in character. Humans, you are capable of remarkable things. I had forgotten or perhaps underestimated that once. But now I remember clearly. Alex felt a strange sense of connection. He had entered this world as an outsider, yet he now felt an integral part of it. The bond he shared with Elira was not simply friendship or alliance. It was a shared understanding forged in danger, trust, and courage. Over the next few days, Alex and Elira worked tirelessly to restore order. Loyalists were rewarded for their bravery, the city's defenses were reinforced, and citizens were reassured of their safety. Alex's insights proved invaluable. His experience with tactical planning, survival instincts, and adaptability allowed the kingdom to anticipate potential threats and secure strategic positions. Elira observed him closely. She had always known that humans possessed unpredictable courage, but Alex's resourcefulness and quick thinking exceeded her expectations. He was not just brave, he was clever, intuitive, and capable of seeing patterns others could not. In every decision, every move, he had demonstrated the best qualities of his species. One afternoon, Elira called Alex to a chamber overlooking the city. The sunlight reflected off the crystalline towers, casting prismatic colors across the floor. She turned to him, her expression serious yet calm. "Alex, I owe you more than words can express. You have saved my life twice now, and you have saved my people. I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge the debt we owe you." Alex shook his head. "You don't owe me anything. I acted because it was right, because I couldn't ignore the danger or leave you to face it alone." She studied him, her eyes filled with quiet admiration. "Few humans would act as you have. Few would have the courage to face overwhelming odds and still think strategically, still think of others before themselves. That is why I remember you, and why I trust you completely." There was a long silence between them, filled not with words but with understanding. Alex realized that his presence in this alien world had become more than a mission. It had become a connection, a bond that transcended species and culture. He had earned trust not through titles, status, or power, but through action, courage, and integrity. Days later, the remnants of the faction attempted one final strike, hoping to regain influence. But Alex and Elira had anticipated it. Using a combination of human unpredictability and alien technology, they neutralized the threat before it could cause harm. The last resistance was crushed and the city was finally safe. The citizens celebrated cautiously, aware that their safety was not a guarantee, but grateful for the protection they had received. Alex observed quietly from the sanctuary, feeling a sense of fulfillment he had never known before. He had entered this world as a stranger, yet now he had become a protector, a strategist, and a trusted ally. Elira joined him, her expression soft. "You have done what few could. You have faced danger, adapted to a world not your own, and emerged victorious. You have proven that humans, despite their perceived weaknesses, are capable of greatness beyond imagination." Alex looked at her, humbled by her words. "I did what anyone would do if they had the chance. I couldn't ignore the danger or leave those who trusted me vulnerable." She smiled, a faint but sincere expression that illuminated her usually composed face. "And that is why you are extraordinary. You have reminded me of the power of courage, the importance of trust, and the potential of those who act selflessly. Your presence has changed not only my life but the future of my people." For the first time, Alex allowed himself to feel the depth of their connection. He realized that this bond was not just temporary or circumstantial. It was built on shared experience, respect, and understanding. He had saved a princess, yes, but he had also discovered the strength within himself and the extraordinary potential of humans in an alien world. Elira placed a hand gently on his shoulder. "There is something else I must say," she whispered. "When I remembered you all those years ago, I sensed something beyond the mere act of being saved. I sensed a character, a spirit, and a courage that few possess. That is why when fate brought you here, I knew we could face any challenge together." Alex felt a profound sense of purpose. He had never sought recognition or reward, but her words affirmed the significance of his actions. "I am honored," he said quietly, "and I will continue to stand by you not because of obligation, but because it is right. Because courage, trust, and action matter." The days that followed were filled with rebuilding and consolidation. Alex continued to advise Elira on strategic decisions, blending human tactics with alien technology and insight. Citizens slowly regained confidence and the city's energy system stabilized under their combined guidance. Elira observed him constantly, not with scrutiny but with admiration. She had always known humans were courageous, but Alex had shown her the full extent of their potential: adaptability, cleverness, and unwavering integrity. She had remembered him for a reason, and now she understood fully why. He was a human who could face any threat, think beyond the obvious, and act decisively when it mattered most. One evening, as the city glowed beneath them, Alex and Elira stood on a balcony overlooking the streets. The air was calm, the lights reflecting in gentle patterns across the crystalline towers. The immediate danger had passed, but both knew that vigilance was necessary. Yet in that moment, they allowed themselves to feel the satisfaction of victory, the peace that comes from knowing they had acted wisely and bravely. Elira turned to him, her expression softening. "Alex, you have changed my world. You have reminded me of the value of courage, the importance of trust, and the strength of humans. You are more than a hero. You are a symbol of what is possible when action is guided by heart and mind together." Alex smiled faintly. "I couldn't have done it without you. You trusted me, guided me, and gave me the opportunity to act. That is what made all the difference." The bond between them was now unbreakable. Not just allyship, not just friendship, but a profound understanding forged in danger, trust, and shared purpose. They had faced threats beyond imagination, navigated political intrigue, and protected an entire city together. Their combined strengths, human ingenuity and alien skill, had proven unstoppable. As night deepened, the city below glowed peacefully. The faction was defeated, the citizens safe, and the kingdom stabilized. Alex felt a quiet satisfaction, a sense that his journey in this alien world had a purpose beyond survival. He had become a protector, a strategist, and a trusted presence in a civilization far beyond his own. Elira stood beside him, her hand brushing lightly against his. "I will not forget this," she said softly.
"I will not forget you."
"You are part of this world now and part of my life. You have shown me that humans, though different, possess courage and wisdom that can change destinies." Alex looked at her, feeling the weight and warmth of her words. "And I will not forget this world," he replied, "nor the trust you placed in me. Together we have faced the impossible and emerged stronger. That is something worth remembering." As they watched the city, the stars above twinkled in silent approval. The human who had once saved a princess had returned to change her world once more. And the princess, who had once been vulnerable, had discovered the extraordinary potential of courage, trust, and alliance with another species. Their journey was far from over. Challenges would come again, threats would rise, and decisions would test them. But for now, they allowed themselves a moment of peace, reflection, and understanding. Together, they had proven that courage, intelligence, and trust could overcome any obstacle. And in that triumph, both human and alien had discovered something greater than victory: the power of shared purpose and the bond between those who act with heart and mind alike. The city slept. The stars shone, and the sanctuary stood as a symbol of resilience, courage, and hope. And within it, a human and an alien princess knew that they had changed the course of history, not through power alone, but through bravery, wisdom, and the trust that bound them across worlds. The day dawned crisp and clear over Zorath Prime, yet tension hung in the air like a storm waiting to break. Ethan stood on the observation deck of the Queen's flagship, the pendant around his neck resting heavy with meaning. Today was the day the Queen had called a full assembly of her people and the human representatives. The war outside the city still raged in pockets, but today would determine whether the conflict would continue or finally end. Ethan's mind raced as he considered the stakes. He was no longer merely a soldier or a guest aboard the alien flagship. He had become a symbol, the living embodiment of cooperation between two civilizations. The necklace around his neck had done more than preserve a forgotten legacy. It had become a bridge, connecting trust, courage, and history in one fragile yet powerful thread. The Queen appeared beside him, her presence calm yet commanding. "The assembly awaits," she said. "Your actions have inspired some, but many remain skeptical. Today, they will see your intent, your courage, and your resolve. The future of both our peoples rests on this moment." Ethan nodded. "I understand," he said. "I will speak clearly, but I know actions speak louder than words." They entered the Grand Assembly chamber. a vast space filled with thousands of alien spectators. Holographic projections floated above, displaying human and alien cities, battlefields, and recent evacuations that Ethan had orchestrated. The advisors, generals, and scholars filled the front rows, their expressions cautious but attentive. The Queen raised her hand, signaling silence. "Today we witness the potential of unity," she said. "We have seen courage, wisdom, and honor displayed. Now we will decide whether the path forward is war or understanding." Ethan stepped forward, feeling the weight of 1,000 eyes upon him. He took a deep breath, letting the necklace settle against his chest. "I am no stranger to war," he began, his voice steady. "I have fought because I had to, not because I wanted to. I have seen what war does to humans, what it does to aliens, what it does to life itself, and I have learned that survival is not enough. Life is meant to be protected, not destroyed." A ripple of murmur passed through the audience. Ethan paused, letting his words sink in. "The necklace I carry is more than a family heirloom," he continued. "It is a symbol of a promise long forgotten, a promise that humans and your people could live in peace, cooperate, and learn from each other. Today we have the chance to honor that promise. Not just in words, but in action." He gestured toward the holographic displays. "I have helped evacuate civilians from danger zones. Human and alien forces worked together. Lives were saved. Trust was earned. That is the proof I offer, not rhetoric. Courage is not fighting alone. It is standing for what is right, protecting those who cannot protect themselves and inspiring others to do the same." The Queen's advisors exchanged glances. Some were skeptical, some curious, but all were silent, watching Ethan closely. The Queen herself studied him, her expression unreadable. Yet there was a hint of approval in her eyes. Ethan continued, his voice gaining strength. "We are at a crossroads. We can continue fighting, wasting resources and sacrificing lives, or we can choose cooperation. Humans are capable of courage, honor, and wisdom. I am living proof. But more importantly, today our actions show that unity is possible. We can rise above fear and hatred, and we can build a future together." He let the words linger in the air, observing the reactions. Some aliens shifted in their seats, others whispered among themselves, yet no one spoke to challenge him. The Queen's presence remained a silent anchor, a reminder that she trusted him and that trust alone had begun to sway others. Suddenly, a messenger appeared, reporting urgent news. A human convoy and an alien supply line had been ambushed at the northern front. Lives were at risk and the conflict threatened to escalate into chaos. Ethan's instincts kicked in. He glanced at the Queen. "I must act," he said. "We cannot wait. The people need immediate protection." The Queen nodded. "Lead them," she said. "Show them the courage and wisdom you claim to embody." Ethan moved quickly, coordinating a joint rescue operation. Human and alien units followed his lead, their skepticism now tempered by the trust built over days of observation. The storm of conflict was approaching, yet Ethan remained calm, directing movements, analyzing terrain, and ensuring that every life was accounted for. The ambush site was chaotic. Vehicles burned, debris scattered, and cries for help echoed through the valley. Ethan did not hesitate. He guided squads through dangerous terrain, personally directing the extraction of civilians and soldiers alike. The necklace around his neck seemed to glow faintly with significance, a reminder of history and responsibility converging in the present moment. Hours passed, and slowly, order was restored. Hundreds of lives were saved, human and alien alike. The storm clouds overhead threatened more chaos, but Ethan's leadership had created pockets of safety, shelters reinforced, and supply lines restored. Alien soldiers who had once doubted him now worked side by side with humans, their trust forged through action rather than words. As the rescue concluded, Ethan returned to the flagship, exhausted but determined. The Queen met him at the entrance, her expression a mixture of pride and contemplation. "You have done more than survive," she said. "You have demonstrated courage, wisdom, and the value of life. You have shown that humans can be allies, protectors, and leaders." Ethan shook his head slightly. "I did not do it alone," he said. "Humans and aliens together, cooperation, trust, and action saved those lives. I only guided them." The Queen regarded him silently for a moment. "And yet, it was your guidance, your courage that inspired them to act. You carry the legacy of this necklace, yes, but you also carry the future of two civilizations in your hands. Do you understand the weight of this responsibility? Ethan met her gaze steadily. I do, and I accept it. Humanity has the potential to rise above fear and destruction. Today proves that we can choose a better path. I will not let this opportunity be wasted. The Queen's eyes softened and she spoke to the assembly, her voice resonant. You have witnessed courage, integrity, and wisdom. You have seen how humans and aliens can work together. The war does not have to continue. Today we choose understanding over conflict, cooperation over destruction, and life over hatred. A murmur of agreement spread through the assembly. Skepticism remained, yes, but hope now tempered it. Ethan could see alien soldiers nodding, advisors exchanging contemplative glances, and civilians daring to believe in a future without fear. One of the senior advisors finally spoke. Perhaps the humans' actions speak louder than our doubts. Perhaps trust can be earned even after centuries of conflict. The Queen inclined her head. Yes, today is proof. History has been remembered, courage has been shown, and a bridge has been built. Let this day mark the beginning of a new era. Ethan felt a deep sense of relief and purpose. The war was not entirely over, but the first step toward peace had been taken. The necklace around his neck, once a simple family heirloom, had become a symbol of hope, courage, and unity. It had connected past to present, humans to aliens, and fear to trust. That evening, as the flagship moved quietly through the stars, Ethan stood with the Queen on the observation deck. The city below was calm, the storm clouds dissipating and the faint lights of human and alien settlements shining in harmony. You have done well, the Queen said quietly. You have proven that humans are more than their reputation, that courage and wisdom can shape the future, and that history can be honored through action. Ethan nodded, looking out at the horizon. I only did what any human with honor and courage would do, he said. But I will continue to fight, not with weapons but with actions that protect life and build trust. The Queen's eyes softened further. And that is why I called off the war. You carried the past, you inspired the present, and you offer hope for the future. Perhaps humanity and my people are not so different after all. Ethan felt a deep sense of accomplishment, but also humility. He had faced danger, skepticism, and the weight of history, yet he had emerged not only alive but respected and trusted. The necklace around his neck had guided him, but it was his actions, courage, and commitment that had truly made a difference. As night fell over Zorath Prime, the stars reflected in the calm waters of the cities below, Ethan knew that challenges would come again, that trust could be tested, and that peace was never guaranteed. But for now, the first step had been taken. The war that had threatened countless lives had been paused, and the path toward understanding had been opened. He placed a hand on the necklace, feeling its history, its meaning, and the promise it represented. The human spirit, the courage, the honor, and the willingness to protect life had shone through. And in that moment, Ethan understood that one individual, guided by integrity and bravery, could influence the course of civilizations. The Queen stood silently beside him, her expression contemplative yet hopeful. Together, they looked out at the horizon, aware that the future held challenges but also endless possibilities. Through courage, wisdom, and the bonds forged today, humanity and the alien civilization had taken the first steps toward a future free from war, guided by trust, understanding, and the enduring power of honor. Ethan breathed deeply, feeling the weight of responsibility, the strength of legacy, and the hope